Hello guys and welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about the Evil Queen. So first off, as you can see, she's a support guardian, so she works well in a team composition of a ranged or melee and a tank and support guardian. However, she can still work in a double support team where you can add a hero or Mike maybe, but mostly you want to stick to a range slash melee and tank composition. So as you can see, my Evil Queen is currently at 3 stars, so I won't be able to showcase her signature ability, but I'll still go through it and explain it as best I can. So firstly, let's just get straight on to Heartsbane Toxin. The Evil Queen has a 15% chance on basic attacks and a 20% chance on heavy attacks to inflict her target with poison, dealing 10% damage per second for 10 seconds. So purely just based on this, you're going to want to be using those basic attacks, because although there is a 5% increase when using your heavy attacks, you're able to fit in more basic attacks per heavy attack. However, this isn't really true, and I'll explain why further along in this video. When the Evil Queen inflicts a target with poison, they are also inflicted with a Heartsbane charge, increasing the strength of all poison damage from all sources by 10% each. This is mainly how you want to ramp up that damage. You want to make sure you're getting as many Heartsbane charges as you can on the enemy, and obviously this is per enemy. So for example, if you attack one enemy and then you change to another enemy, they will have separate Heartsbane charges. So when you're using Evil Queen, you want to focus on one enemy at a time to maximize that damage output. The Evil Queen's basic attacks also deal 50% less damage, and this is also another reason for why you want to be using heavy attacks instead of basic attacks. Now moving on to some gameplay to show. So for this gameplay, I've decided not to bring any talents whatsoever alongside with the Evil Queen, because I just want to show off her core ability, and this may prove to be a bit of a challenge because those talents do help her gain a lot of Heartsbane charges, so it may take a while for me to put a Heartsbane charge on one of the enemies. So it's important to note that this is quite a low level Evil Queen, as I don't really have her at 4 stars and I'm not willing to put in resources in her just yet. So she's going to be doing a little bit of damage. So if you see 6 poison damage, 8 poison damage, that doesn't mean that she doesn't do very much damage over time effects. It's just that she's very low leveled. So I'm still waiting for that first Heartsbane charge, and there we go. And as you can see, the Heartsbane charges are separate. So if you have a Heartsbane charge on one enemy, it doesn't mean that there's going to be a Heartsbane charge on the other. So essentially you want to be focusing that enemy so you can ramp up that damage and get that poison damage really strong. And obviously when you're against more tankier enemies, that Heartsbane charge may even reach 10 in some cases. So now let's go and show off her heavy attack. So as you can see, it's a very unique heavy attack and it's easy to miss, so it's important that you're using it effectively. It's very similar to a tank or melee's heavy attack, and the one drawback is that you can't counter their heavy attack. So as you can see, if I use my heavy attack while they're charging up for their heavy attack, usually a melee or tank guardian would knock them down, but with the Evil Queen this does not happen, which opens her up to taking a lot of damage. And these enemies aren't really that strong, but if they were above my recommended power, I'd easily be taking a lot of damage, which is why you need to be using that heavy attack very selectively. So as you can see, that heavy attack did 396 damage, which shows that it does so much more damage, but it's very risky. It's a high risk and high reward type of situation. So here is going to be an example of where that high risk shows. So if I use, okay, we've got a little bit of glitch going on. Let me just move back, try to fix that. Alright, so if I use my heavy, I'm going to be punished here, and look how much damage I'm taking. And this would be so much more. I'd probably be dead by now if I was against very difficult opposition. So again, it's very important to make sure that you're using your heavy attacks effectively, and it is worth using those heavy attacks because of that extra damage on those basic damage, as well as that higher chance of getting the poison. So now let's just move quickly on to the special ability. As you can see, this special ability has a 15-second cooldown, and there are many ways where you can reduce this cooldown, but we won't get into that in this video. So each enemy is inflicted with a poison, dealing 10% damage per second for 10 seconds. This is great, as this is how you're going to get most of your poison damage, and this is an easy source to get those Heartsbane charges, because as soon as you inflict a poison, you inflict a Heartsbane charge. So for example, if there are 10 enemies, you'll get 10 Heartsbane charges straight away for that heal. All allies heal 1% each second for 4 seconds, and each Heartsbane charge on the enemy adds an additional 0.5% to this value. So if you were to have 10 Heartsbane charges, which is the max, that adds an additional 5%, so that's a 6% heal in total. So I'll now show a clip of the 1% heal compared to the 6%
So
heal.
with 0 Heartsbane charges, the heal is only 9, but with 10, the heal is an amazing 52.
Now onto the signature ability, Vial of Living Death. If an enemy is defeated while inflicted with one or more Heartsbane charges, all enemies have a 100% chance to be inflicted with one Heartsbane charge. And as long as the Evil Queen is above 80% HP, her heavy attack inflicts poison, dealing 10% damage per second for 10 seconds. So firstly, the Heartsbane charges are now much easier to get to 10, because if there are 10 enemies in the encounter rather, if you defeat one, you'll easily gain 9 Heartsbane charges very quickly, so you can get that heal much quicker instead of having to wait for your basic attacks and your heavy attacks to get those Heartsbane charges. So I think this signature ability is very essential, and it makes this Guardian a lot more stronger. As long as the Evil Queen has 80% HP. Now this is a drawback because the Evil Queen's heavy attacks are quite risky, and because you can't counter other enemies' heavy attacks and knock them down, you're bound to take some damage. So this 80% is a bit on the high side, which means that you won't be able to put off as many heavy attacks. However, because of that heal, you'll get above 80% often. Now moving on to the
These
3 are the talents that I would recommend: the second advanced, the third advanced, and the first elite. So while an enemy is inflicted with poison and 3 or more Heartsbane charges, they are inflicted with a minus 10% defense buff. So this means that your attack will be doing more damage, and that also includes for your melee guardian or your tank guardian that you have in your party. So even if you level this up, this is just level 1 by the way, and once you level it up, that goes higher and higher, and just level 2 is a 2.86% increase. Now moving on to the second talent. While the enemy is inflicted with a poison and 5 or more Heartsbane charges, they are inflicted with a dizzy, reducing their chance of successfully landing a basic attack by minus 25%. And that also is just level 1, and if you level it up, there's an increase of 3.38%. So this essentially is a miss mechanic, so you're basically not taking any damage whatsoever 25% of the time. But this is only from basic attacks, so don't expect for the enemies to miss a heavy attack or a special ability. Now moving on to the final talent, Hopeless Cordial. If an enemy is defeated while inflicted with a poison and has 8 or more Heartsbane charges, all allies are healed by 1% instantly. I think this talent is amazing, and even if you just level it up to level 2, this increases by a 0.75%, and I'll even level this up right now because it's an amazing talent. And then level 2 is 2.5, which is basically a little bit of an increase, but that is an essential talent, I think, and it's going to help the survivability of the entire team. Everything that you need to know about the Evil Queen. She's a very good support guardian, but she's heavily reliant on her signet ability, and if you don't have that at a high level, she may not get those Heartsbane charges as fast. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.